Welcome back. Let's take a look at this lesson. We're going to talk about methods and when they return you values that happen to be the IDs of other objects, what that means, and how this could be a very powerful idea in your programs. So what I'm going to do here, for example, is I'm going to take a method for the player here. Let's go to player. Let's just add a key. I'll just do key press T for test. And I'm just going to spit some code here of a method that finds you an ID of an object. Now, for those that don't know what an ID of an object is, every single game object instance, so these are instances here, every single one gets a certain code number when it's put into the game. It's like a special, unique ID number for that object. All the numbers happen to start with 1,000,000 and higher. So, if this one was 1,000,000, maybe that one's 1,000,001, 1,000,003, 1,000,028, and it keeps going up and up. But every single one gets a value. Those values are how GameMaker actually helps control the objects, and they can be useful to you because you can find out what these values are and then use these values to control the objects and interact with them. So let's go back to the player and see what that means. So I'm coding in the player right now and they hit the T key. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remember the closest gold coin. So I'm going to go close coin. Now remember, this is just a variable name that I'm making up. Equals instance nearest. Now this instance nearest method takes in two things, an x and a y position. I'm going to give it my x and my y value, so this is where the player is, and then it wants an object, so I'm going to look for the nearest coin. Now when I find that nearest coin, here's the great thing. Let's say it says the nearest coin to me is coin number 1,500,000. That's exactly what close coin will equal. It's sort of the equivalent now of this, equals 1,500,000. That's what these two lines are pretty well identical. Okay, if that was coin 1,500,000. So basically I've saved the ID of that coin inside this variable. Now the thing is once you know that coin's ID, I can do stuff like this. I could say with close coin. So with 1,500,000, do the following. I could say speed equals 2, direction 270. So I'm literally taking control of that particular coin that this method sent me back the ID of. Now this is a big idea because you can use this to do a lot of tasks. You'll see in this part of the course we can use these IDs. So remember, this sends you back an ID, and I'm just saving it inside of close coin. With that particular ID that I got sent back, control that object, speed 2, direction 270. Okay, let's see this work every time I hit the T key. Now you have to remember, every time I hit the T key, T, that was the closest coin, off it goes. Now when I hit T again, that instance nearest finds another coin. That's the nearest now. So I'm hitting the T key again, hit the T key, hit the T key, hit the T key. Now those coins are still live, they're way down off the screen, right? But just to show that does work. So that's a good example of a method that sends back an ID. Here's another example of one I could do. I'm going to try one here that involves collision checking. So let's do this. Right now, let's add a little key press, letter C for check. Now what I'm going to check for is this. I'm going to walk my player up near a wall, and I'm going to use another method that sends back an ID. And this method is called instance position. Now if I look this one up in the documents, instance position tells me checks for collision with the specified object and returns its ID. So I give it an X and a Y position, and then I name an object, and I'm going to name the wall. And it sends me back the ID of that type of object. So let's give this a go. I'm going to say that when I'm walking, I'm going to pretend I'm doing this for left, and I'm going to say I want it to check not the player's X and Y. I want it to check the player's X position, let's say minus 16. That's half of my width. Let's make it bigger. X minus 32. One whole player width, 32 pixels over to the left of me. My same Y value, and let's check for a wall. Now remember, this returns a value. So I'm just going to do this for now. I'm going to say value equals. Now what I'm going to do with this value after is I'm actually going to ask an if question. I'm going to say, let's see what this value is. Now remember, if there's a wall at that position, I'm going to have its ID value saved in val. And then I'm going to do something like destroy it. But maybe there's no wall there. So let's actually see what this method does first for value when there's nothing there. So let's just do a little show message. And let's show this message that I'm hitting the C key. So no wall beside me right now. I'm going to hit C. And it sends back -4. Let's move over here. Let's check again. Check. -4. Check. 1,000,007. Let's check over here. That's wall 1,000,003. Now remember, everybody has a unique ID, so every time I do this, I get a different value. It actually partly depends on what order these things were made and placed into the room as the game was run. So you can see here this works pretty nicely, and of course that is not a wall, so that potion doesn't count. -4. -4 seems to be the magic value that GameMaker will send you back if there is no instance. This one actually has a special word. They actually call that -4 no one. You can see there how it turned yellow. I don't like using that one. I like just remembering it was -4. Knowing this, I can do the following. I could do something like this. I could say if the value is less than 0, because the bottom line is this. -4 is less than 0, and so that's a nice simple check to do. And if you did have a piece come back, you know it's going to be a big number, 1,000,000 and above. So this check for less than 0 is perfectly fine for checking if, there's no instance there. So if the value is less than 0, we could do a little show message, no wall to destroy. Else, I could say with val instance destroy. So if the value is less than 0, which means -4, nothing there, no wall to destroy. And otherwise, I'm going to take control of that instance, so with val instance destroy. And so that wall should get destroyed when I hit C. Let's give it a go. So C, no wall to destroy. I go here, destroys it. There, destroys it. And I'm hitting C every time, right? But when I hit C the second time here, no wall to destroy, right? Because there's no wall. Perfect, right? Of course it's perfect. We're going to give you a little task to do here. That's really all we want to show you. We'll get into this in a lot more detail in other lessons, but this idea that some methods send you back, okay, the ID of an object, and then you can control them, nice one to know about. Thanks for watching.